Kate Beveridge and Monia Gerard. So plenty happening outside of this Holden International Test Series, but plenty about to happen on the court.
So Bomberto gets us underway fittingly. McMahon doesn't take long to get involved in the action. Starting in goal shooter, and that's a held ball, so a bit of pressure early being applied by the Silver Ferns.
Well, that was a really quick 3 seconds.
Quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, the umpires are just as nervous as the players, so it'll take them a little while to get into the game.
Langman goes the big bomb into Van Dyke, and she opens proceedings for the visitors. You can tell there's mostly Aussies in the crowd because there's not too many cheers. Crowd could play a really pivotal role in this game this afternoon. The Aussies get on a roll, the crowd will get right behind them.
There's plenty of movement already in that New Zealand goal circle, but you know that when push comes to shove and they're under pressure, that high ball is going to go into Van Dyke, and Laura Geitz just needs to make sure she keeps moving her feet around so she can contest the ball. You've got to be in every contest with Van Dyke.
2 from 2 for Irene Van Dyke, the 37-year-old, preparing for her 4th Commonwealth Games, and have coughed it up here at the Aussies. So a nervous start for the Diamonds. A couple of little errors. Temapara George goes backwards to the captain in Williams, and Langman to Tyer again. The long bomb this time. Geitz is all over it. She can't get there a second time.
Hand on the ball, penalty pass.
Much better work from Laura Geitz. Moved her feet around, got in front, put her in a really good position and kept the umpire out of the contest. But just watch that here. You just can't put those long floaty balls in over Casey Williams. Beautiful athlete. She'll pick them off every time.
George, the bounce pass to Tyer. And this time it is picked off by Bomberto. And listen to the applause. Streaming down the centre of the court. Hallinan and Nurse, McMahon, Bomberto. And McMahon.
It's a timing that we're used to from the Diamonds as they stream down court. 2 options everywhere, and the first 2 turnovers that they have, there was really only 1 option to the ball. You've got to have 2, and when they have a couple of options, there's always a safe one for them to pass to.
Gerard put under enormous pressure, so athletic. Now Bomberto, the short pass, Medhurst, former teammates at the Adelaide Thunderbirds. And the rebound is up for grabs. It was a contact call, a bit of body contact between Williams and Medhurst off the ball.
Just watch Katrina Grant and Casey Williams. Their defence over the shot is superb, and Grant did a great job of getting back her 3 feet and getting up and just hanging over and making Medhurst shoot over her hands. Not a comfortable position for Nat Medhurst.
Their defensive third, you'd have to say, is their strongest third. It's Tutai out on the baseline. Rolls out, and it's a Diamonds ball.
There won't be too many missed shots in this New Zealand front line, so great that the Diamonds have picked up an early rebound. They've got to scrounge over every opportunity they get up there.
And it's great that the Australian coach, Norma Plummer, has been able to join us early stages of this match. Norma, is the start as expected? I guess any surprises from the New Zealand 7?
No, it wasn't. No surprises. We picked what they'd start with.
Norma, just in your front line, you've opted for that beautiful speed that you've got in your own hands. Is that to combat almost the top-heavy nature of the New Zealand line?
It's gone very well during practice, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the major lineup.
Thanks for your time, Norma. Really appreciate it. We'll speak to you throughout the course of the match. As Tutai with a long bomb nets it. And they're off to a flying start, the Silver Ferns. Blistering pass from McMahon to Nurse.
That's just a little set play off the centre pass then with Nurse and Medhurst just doing a little overload. So sitting on one side of the court, ball comes down the other side. It opens up the court beautifully against that New Zealand style of zone defence off the centre pass. So just watch for them to use that through the course of the day.
Well, it's been a fast, frantic start here. There's no doubt about that. As the ball is stolen by Medhurst, and here the Aussies go on the transition. Nurse into McMahon. Doesn't want to back herself from there, and just a little bit of lack of communication between Medhurst and McMahon. Chance for the Silver Ferns to make them pay. Langman over the top, lovely lob. Lands in the hands of Van Dyke.
Contact on the arm, penalty pass.
And it was a contact call against Geitz. Oh, wonderful block by Monia Gerard.
She's the shortest player in that circle, but exquisite timing, great elevation.
And Liz, as a former defender, that is not easy to do.
It's not. And often people think that you can't do it against someone the height of Van Dijk, but it's not about the height of the shooter. It's actually about her release, and she does release the ball low. So well done, Gerard. Love to see that happen.
Chance for the Diamonds to peg one back, but again, Lauren Nurse, another turnover. Could prove costly early stages. Temapara George, Van Dijk out of the circle.
It could prove costly for the Diamonds, but it can also prove costly for Nurse. Don't forget, this is a selection match. It is not just a test match, so plenty riding on this game. The Commonwealth Games 12 will be announced tomorrow.
Of course, Maddie Brown being rested this afternoon, but you think she's probably in a battle with Lauren Nurse for that mid-court spot.
And just that release there from Nurse. She almost threw it with two hands, and you just can't get the power. If you wind it up with a one-handed shoulder pass, you're much more able to get good power.
So just a bit of a nervous start here as the Australians are trying to settle. Here's Nurse again, the bounce pass, once again a turnover.
Kel, I reckon a couple of times with the Australians coming down court, when it's all open, that's when they look good. When they have to go to their second and third option, that's when they're coughing up the ball. So the Silver Ferns defensive unit doing a great job of smothering that first Diamonds lead.
And it just makes them a little bit hesitant. And it's a result of the pressure that's been applied as Williams hits the deck, the captain for the Silver Ferns. World's best defender. Well, the call's gone against Von Bertong. She doesn't like it. George, high. Van Dijk with a goal, and that's 5 from 6 for the New Zealand veteran.
The Diamonds have to score here. You cannot allow the Silver Ferns to get out to any sort of lead. They've got to maintain possession, do the little things well.
Be a lucky call there. I think it might have come off McMahon, so a little bit of luck is perhaps what they need. Now Medhurst. She didn't miss in her half that she played against Jamaica in the Gold Coast. Already missed today. That's 2 from 3, and they remain in touch. So Henry and Langman and George happy to share it around the mid-quarters. Again, the high ball. Got the Romelda Aitken tactics going, Liz.
Well, they do, but in Van Dijk, they've got a player who's able just to move a little bit more along that baseline. And Gerard again, this time she gets possession.
Oh, an offside call by half a millimetre, I think it was.
A nanometre. But offside it is, so the Australians into defence again. I was saying, Kel, that with Van Dijk, she's really the consummate netballer. She's got that beautiful height, but she's got the ability to move. And you can just see with the Silver Ferns line, oh, Tutayer should have reeled that one in. It was a beautiful pass from Casey Williams. What they're really showing so far in this game is great patience. They're willing to work the ball down to the edge of the circle to put in a delivery to Van Dijk. Now, that's when it's tough.
So Tutayer almost go from there. Really fancies herself from long range. Just a fraction closer to the post. Doesn't matter. So they're out to a 4-goal lead. Here's a replay of Monia Gerard.
So good.
Lucky to see one of them. Again, we've seen 2 in the first few minutes.
I'll tell you what we've seen in the first 2 minutes is a lot of whistle down the Diamonds' defensive line. At the moment, the Diamonds have given away 15 penalties to the Silver Ferns, 4. The main culprit being Laura Geitz. But penalties all the way down the court, so that's something that the Australian defence line needs to adjust to. Probably a little more whistle from these umpires than they're used to in the ANZ Championship.
Of course, both sides play vastly different style of netball. And sometimes in the ANZ Championship, they can be umpired differently as well, so...
Yeah, they can, and the difference here is that the umpires are really pulling up stuff that wouldn't get pulled up in the ANZ Championship. Just the one-on-one defensive marking of the Australian is drawing whistle.
Langman to Tutayer, looking again for Van Dijk.
Well, yes. Laura Geitz pulled for contact then. She's becoming expensive. She's had a couple of really good deflections, but she'll need to start to mix it up to not draw that penalty.
Norma Plummer watching on anxiously. Her mind will be swirling. It hasn't been the start that she would have wanted. The Diamonds on the back foot. Their captain heads one back. So it's the Silver Ferns by 3 goals. Let's go courtside. Ian Shuttleworth.
Contrasting styles in the coaching staff. The Silver Ferns, emotionless, hardly a word being spoken. The Aussies, very much the opposite. Plenty of words being yelled out from the coaching staff. From the Silver Ferns' perspective, pre-match, they were all to talk about the high level of defensive intensity needed. They wanted to make sure each and every player pressured the Australian pass.
Thanks for that, Ian. Just under 5 minutes left in this opening quarter. And again, steaming down the centre of the court is Gerard. McMahon, a lovely little lob, gives it off to Medhurst. And it swishes through. 2 in a row is just what they need. 3 in a row would be even better.
Clever play, Nat Medhurst. Faked the ball out, moved the zone, found McMahon under the post. She has a second chance now. She's looking to see where Williams is.
And the Diamonds have eventually settled, and they're well and truly back in this contest. New Zealand out to an early, handy lead. Langman, former captain of this side, made a debut at 19.
Oh, yes.
Putting her body on the line, all eyes for the ball. And
that is rubbish
against Geitz.
Geitz had 2 hands on that ball. Not a good call. Oh, I'll take it back. Wasn't a penalty. Pushed against the post, so using the post.
Well, it's been an emotional start, Liz Ellis. I'm having to hold you down to stay in the seat.
Well, Geitz did really well then, but was penalised for using the post. Still not sure that it's right, but I'll give the umpire the benefit of the doubt there.
Bomberto, McMahon, the vice-captain and the captain combined. Now Medhurst fighting for her spot to head to India, teaming up with Nurse. That's better from Nurse, and Medhurst with the finish. She'll get a second opportunity. Just getting a little physical under the post between Williams and McMahon.
Which is...
McMahon looks a little agitated, but she plays her best netball when she's agitated.
Absolutely. It's that controlled aggression that we keep talking about with Sharon McMahon. When she plays like that, she's brilliant. Casey Williams, normally known for being reasonably a sort of a clean player, so unusual to see her get herself into that sort of situation.
Another held ball. We've had 3 held ball calls in this opening quarter. And that just shows you the relentless pressure that has been applied. Australia eventually absorbing that pressure. McMahon and Williams.
Already, first quarter.
Neither willing to take a backward step. Arguably the world's best defender up against the world's best shooter. George finding some space.
Just see when you watch as each pass gets thrown, there is plenty of defence on absolutely everything. Both teams throwing everything at the ball defensively, which means that everything in attack has to be perfect. The passes have to be perfect. Your timing has to be perfect for both sides.
Talk about the pressure being applied on the players. What about on the umpires? The crowd is well and truly in this, giving it on every call.
Also with these umpires, they don't umpire the ANZ Championship. They're neutral umpires internationally. So this is a massive game for them as well, and the speed is a huge step up from what they're used to. So plenty of whistles so far.
Tutayer with a lovely cut under the post and a nice finish as well. So they just hold off that 2-goal lead. New Zealand with the first 3. Had the Australians stunned early. Bomberto, Medhurst from mid-range. Medhurst is now 5 from 7. It's back to 1 goal and a chance for a turnover here. It will be on Australian ball.
Well, they'll know they've got 30 seconds left or just under. There's a sign on their bench that tells them how much time they've got left, and that's plenty of time to just work the ball through. Don't need to hurry.
On Berthide. Time ticking down. It was almost like a screen set by McMahon there, and the finish is from Medhurst and scores a level.
Yeah, magnificent screen from Medhurst. Walked up, chest on, turned, and the pass was there from Nat Von Berto. What a blistering start to this first test match, Kel. Both teams have gone at it really hard. Yes, it's a selection match, but most of all...
Simmons in full voice in their huddle. Norma Plummer showing plenty of passion. The scoreboard reflecting the hot start. There's nothing in it, Liz. It's 12-all at the first break.
Should be interesting to see how this quarter pans out. You just saw there we'd highlighted the contact penalties. Australia getting pumped in that stat, 21-9. Umpires interpret things differently, and Norma Plummer said in the break that the Australians now should get plenty of whistle up their end. So let's see how that pans out.
Stand away, please.
The Medhurst and the McMahon combination, they played for a half up on the Gold Coast, was super impressive. Sherelle McMahon at goal shooter, it's rare in the Australian team. How have you seen it forming so far?
Look, it's good. And with the speed of both McMahon and Medhurst, it's something that's great to watch. You're right, it was absolutely brilliant up at the Gold Coast. Laura Geitz pulls in a really nice intercept, worked hard for it, took it from behind, but had really good position. So we saw this combination up on the Gold Coast. Seeing it today, though, it's a different kettle of fish. They've got the New Zealand defensive lineup that will really look to disrupt the flow of the ball. So that speed just can't be out and out speed. They have to start to stop and prop and look for some spaces. And that will be probably Sherelle McMahon and Nat Von Berto who'll have to do that. They're the senior players in that line. They will dictate the speed.
Sherelle McMahon, frustrations just simmering away, appealing to the umpire for a contact. She didn't get it. She's not happy. As New Zealand becomes patient on the build-up. Now George to Tayer. Oh, well picked off by Geitz. She's in for a tough day at the office up against Van Dyke. Nurse a little fumble. Medhurst, Gerard, now Nurse again. So a lot of congestion in the middle of the court. And then Medhurst from long range, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Medhurst has found that radar. She's starting to look really comfortable. You see Laura Geitz pull in a great intercept. Used her feet, got around the body, went up with two hands. It was always going to go her way. Talked about congestion in the middle of the court, Phil. That's the way that the Silver Ferns set up their defence. So we'll see the Australians today really trying to use the whole width of the court and swing the ball and try and open up spaces that way. Just watch the Australian defensive line. They'll play a one-on-one style all game. That's what Norma Plummer likes, and it works.
So the Diamonds off to a good start here in the second quarter. As the Silver Ferns with the first three of the match, but the Diamonds have hit the front in this second quarter. In front for the first time. To Tayer, levels it up though. And the Silver Ferns coach Ruth Aitken has joined us. Ruth, your message to the players at quarter time, because it was a pretty physical start.
Yeah, it was, and I just think we have to back ourselves to drive hard into that ball and put it into space.
Ruth, we've just watched a lot of the way you guys played against Jamaica, and it's interesting looking at your team selections. Is this your best lineup, you think?
No, look, we're not looking at that at this point in time. It is a very experienced lineup. We felt it was important to start with a real platform, but we hope to make some changes as we go.
How many changes do you want to make?
We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Oh, I thought I was trying to get something, a bit of a scoop then. Thanks, Ruth.
Ruth Aitken, the coach of the New Zealand side, speaking to a couple of the New Zealand media friends that are over, have made the trip for this big game today, Liz, and they believe that this was their best starting seven, that she's gone with their best combination to start the game against Australia. Of course, they've just come off 2 tests against Jamaica, and that was the feeling within the media. Media not always right, though, of course, should be pointed out, as the Aussies surge forward again, and Medhurst really starting to involve herself in this contest. A miss, though. That's her third for the afternoon.
Look, I reckon this is the Ferns' best lineup, potentially with a little question mark over that goalkeeper position. Katrina Grant's got it. Liana De Bruyn has had a really good year in the ANZ Championship, so she is a player who could be brought into that and who has a nice combination with Casey Williams. So that's possibly for mine, the only place in that lineup where there could be changes.
And the Aussies with possession again. Let's go court side and Shuttleworth.
Look, if there is one thing the Silver Ferns have today that the Diamonds don't, and that's a laptop on the bench with one of their assistant coaches. So at quarter time, the players were huddled around that, trying to find out the stats that matter and all the other important information.
Thanks for that, Ian.
Well, Laura Langman then made a bit of a schoolgirl error, stepped onto the court, and errors from both teams. The Silver Ferns came up with possession with an errant pass from the Australians, ditched it up with a funny little mistake from Langman that you don't often see, and have now cocked up possession.
And another error
again.
It's almost like we're seeing the best of the best, but because of the pressure, there's a lot of errors as well.
Yeah, and look, often at this stage of a game, things are even. There's been a few mistakes. The team that settles first now will probably score the next couple of goals.
Outside, contact, centre. Outside, centre, yes.
So under the post, looking for McMahon. Coming off that court thigh. And another goal for Sherelle McMahon. She's yet to miss. She's the only player on court who hasn't missed yet. 7 from 7. Henry, Temapara George to Tyer. Langman right under the post. They're just almost emptying out the circle, leaving it for Van Dijk, and here she goes against Gerard.
Well, they do empty out the circle. The problem is, though, when Van Dijk comes out of the circle, Maria Tutayer doesn't hustle away and get in there nice and quick, so...
And Maria Gerard just copped one across the chops there.
She's pretty tough. She'll take that and give it back later with a little bit of
She will love it,
interest.
exactly.
The last thing you want to do is fire up Monia Gerard when you're playing against her. But yeah, I reckon Maria Tutayer just needs to hustle away into that circle when Van Dijk isn't in there.
Doesn't quite have the same sort of aura or presence that Van Dijk has when she's one out under the post.
No, but she does give off some really nice ball to Van Dijk. She can shoot those long bombs, which is great when you've got Van Dijk under the post, but she needs to do a little bit more work. Sometimes there's a bit of a void where Maria Tutayer should be, but hasn't got there yet.
Just so slow on the build-up. They're happy to be patient.
That's a really interesting call. Van Dijk pulled for contact. She had both hands on the ball, but the umpire is saying that she came from behind.
So New Zealand's happy to be slow and patient. Australia, on the other hand, just frantic pace. So much speed on their passing.
Now, it's interesting, this penalty count is starting to even up. Diamonds 27, Silver Ferns 18. So the shooting end for the Diamonds this end is clearly where most whistle is going to be.
Well, Jolene Henry's called a timeout here. So we'll see a huddle. The Diamonds scoring 11 of the last 16 goals. So we said it took a while for them to settle, but gee, they're really into it now.
Injury time, the second
Just
quarter,
see with this timeout, there's been a little rule change over the last week from the International Rules Committee. Now, in the ANZ Championship, when there's a timeout, the coaches have been allowed to coach. That's a different rule domestically than it is internationally. But this week, the ruling came through to allow for test matches, the coaches can coach during a timeout. And let me tell you, it will be something that Norma Plummer would be happy about. She almost boils over when there's a timeout. She can't say anything and she's had to bite her tongue. So she'll be happy to be able to speak to her players. And just get the feeling in the last few minutes of this match, the Diamonds have started to take the ascendancy. They've taken the lead for the first time and are just starting to settle into it. Nat Medhurst has found her rhythm a bit better, and her and Sherelle McMahon starting to look really quite comfortable in that shooting circle for the Diamonds.
So the new rule will be introduced to international netball. We'll see it at the Commonwealth Games as Ruth Aitken talks to her players. Head-to-head last year, an interesting statistic, Liz. They played 5 times and Australia won 3, New Zealand won 2. So the trend continues. There's never been anything between these two countries. I think they've almost played 100 tests between them over 70 years. And both sides just really step up. They almost relish the competition, don't they?
You do, and you get goosebumps when you see the players walk out on court, and you want to get in there, but you can't. So you've got to watch these great athletes go around.
So it's the Diamonds by 2 goals. They have taken the lead for the first time in this second quarter. In Shuttleworth, how are you seeing it courtside?
Well, Jolene Henry had her ankle re-strapped at that short break and also had a bit of ice put on there. Nothing serious. She's right to go.
Thanks for that, Ian. Henry has had injury concerns, carried a calf injury through much of the ANZ Championship. Very versatile player, playing at wing defence today. Again, they're forced to backtrack. And now through Henry, they look to go forward. Too tight hair, the deflection off Gerard. George, such an experienced campaigner. Now too tight. And Van Dijk used her body beautifully then.
She's so strong. When she was younger, she was a little easier to push off the mark, but she's done so much work as she's got older. She's got impressive stability all through her core. You just can't push her off her mark, and that's why she's so good. And that's why you want her under the post. Bring the ball to her. Don't have her getting out looking for the ball.
Playing her 107th Test cap this afternoon. 37 years of age.
That's just for New Zealand. Don't forget she captained South Africa. Had a number of Test matches for them, so she's just unbelievable. Great longevity. And she tends to get better with every year, and she's always looking to improve a game.
And there's not many elite athletes that can say they've been to 4 Commonwealth Games either. She played for South Africa in '98. Here she is on cue and about to go to India for her 4th. So spanning a 16-year period, quite remarkable. Tutayer from directly in front. What a lovely style of shot on her.
Yeah, she does. And there was a lot going on under the post then, and she did well to just shut it out, look straight to the goal. Now, this is a really important part of the game now for the Silver Ferns. They trail by 2, potentially 3. They've got to start to win some ball back. Should the Australians start to feel comfortable, they'll put on the accelerator and start to pull away.
5 minutes left in the opening half. It was almost a Hail Mary pass. It's come off. Van Dijk.
It would be a Hail Mary pass goal, except for the fact that Temepara George can do that with her eyes shut. Just the ability to turn and throw it long. And that's something that keeps goalkeepers lying awake in bed at night sweating, is the knowledge that the Silver Ferns can just turn and deliver those balls beautifully to such a great target.
And now the Diamonds looking to edge clear in the shadows of half-time, just under 5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and just under 5 minutes remaining is, I reckon we'll look back at this game and say that was just a crucial period. 5 minutes before half-time is when one team or the other will assert their dominance. And at the moment, it looks to be the Diamonds. You know, good teams tend to run over their counterparts in the last 5 minutes of each quarter, but just this little period before half-time, players are getting tired. It's been a really torrid first half.
A chance here for the biggest lead of the match. Medhurst doesn't want to back herself in from there. And McMahon was almost caught in a Kiwi sandwich. And as a result, there is the turnover. Grant to Williams. Back to Grant. Now Langman. It's one-on-one defence being applied by the Australians. Hands in faces. Williams to George. A well-weighted pass. Now George tries the well-weighted pass to Van Dijk. It doesn't come off.
Kiwis look tired, Kel.
They do. They're tiring quickly, aren't they? After a frantic start, Gerard could see Jolene Henry come. She was charging out.
Oh, that's a coach killer.
Now Henry, George. To bring it back to 2. George in 2 minds. The down pass to Tayer. Won't miss from there, of course. She does as soon as you say it. Van Dijk cleans up.
There.
Here it is. Just Gerard, just out of the corner of her eye, saw Henry charging. Now Nurse, a turnover. Just when the Diamonds were looking to edge to a 4-goal lead, and you said, Liz, that they looked tired.
Yep.
They look fresh.
They're great now in the last minute. And again, that shows a really good team. You just felt that the Diamonds were getting on top, were clawing their way above the Silver Ferns. The last 3 minutes, the Silver Ferns have stepped up. They are the ones now making the running. You know, Temepara George giving away a crucial penalty just before half-time. Contact.
Renee Hallinan, I spoke to her pre-match. She said this is the biggest netball game of her career that she has played in. So that just goes to show, might be the first of 3 test matches before the Com Games, but these players, it means everything.
Sherelle McMahon giving away the penalty there. She has to be careful. She's got such beautiful speed, and sometimes she does get under the feet of the umpires. Those sort of calls can go either way, but you don't want to get into a 50-50 situation in a test match like this.
Well, that was a 50-50 pass, and with a little bit of luck, it didn't certainly come off for them. So Geitz to Gerard. Geitz has been much better in this second quarter as Gerard, well, a rush of blood, throws it away.
Yeah, just watching Norma Plummer, that's the sort of thing that she hates to see. Someone like Monia Gerard is a senior player. She's got to steady her feet, bring the ball down carefully, and well done to Renee Hallinan coming up with possession. Monia Gerard should probably thank her profusely at some later stage.
Nurse, Medhurst, teammates with the Queensland Firebirds, and Medhurst from long range. Super impressive. Back out to a 2-goal lead.
That side. Yes, that.
Chance to pull away again. It's been a half of so many momentum swings. Players will be looking forward to the break at half-time just to regroup and regather.
Yeah, interesting little minute here for the Silver Ferns. They've got a score.
To Tayer, George. There's Vomberto in her face, and the call went against her. Arguably two of the best centres in the game, although George starting at wing attack.
Yeah, it is great to watch. Just interestingly, a lot of the times when the Silver Ferns get the ball, they want to step in before they pass. That almost puts them right in the face of the Australian hands-over defence. Often these players at club level, when they're playing against the zone, they're not used to that hands-over defence, so unwittingly they almost step into it.
25 seconds left. Nurse, can she get it inside? McMahon, 9 from 9, makes it the perfect 10 in the shadows of half-time. And it's the Diamonds by 3. Is there still time here?
Got to go long and high to Van Dyke. No doubt their bench will be screaming at them. Get it in the circle. Well, Tutayer has to shoot, doesn't have the luxury of the pass.
It's the clutch shot. Thank you very much. She steps up to the plate, and it's a 2.
It's Australia taking on New Zealand, and the Diamonds lead 23-21. Second half underway. Nat Vomberto to start.
Moves it quickly to Gerard. Looks like there might have been a change or two. We'll get down to Ian Shuttleworth shortly. Medhurst, impressive in the opening half. Can't nail her first shot of the second. George with no one to go to. Now Williams, this is Barrett Chase. To Tayer. And Van Dyke with the offensive rebound. That's her 12th goal for the match. I mentioned a few changes. Ian, can you let us know what's going on?
Well, the New Zealanders preempted some changes before half-time, and they certainly delivered in the break. We've got George go to the centre. Langman is at wing defence. Jolene Henry's come off. Barrett Chase has gone to wing attack, and Leanna de Bruin has gone to goalkeeper. And that is one of the quandaries for the Silver Ferns going into the Com Games, who partners Casey Williams in the defensive circle.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with the brain to go head-to-head with McMahon. She's certainly got a... Well, he's a lot taller. So McMahon giving away quite a few centimetres in this matchup. Medhurst. And here's De Bruin with the defensive tactics. And it'll mean Vomberto will go head-to-head with George. We mentioned that earlier, Liz, the two best centres in the world.
Yeah, they certainly are. Certainly Temepara George has regarded that for a number of years. Nat Vomberto challenging her for the title. I'm a little surprised at this change. I would have actually liked to see Jolene Henry move into goal defence and maybe Casey Williams just back to goalkeeper, just to give them a bit of speed to catch up and keep up with the absolute speed and power of Medhurst and McMahon.
And I guess the other defensive option as well is Anna Scarlett, who we haven't seen play for 3 years. She's sitting on the bench for New Zealand at the moment. 26-year-old who quit netball 3 years ago to pursue a volleyball career. Beach volleyball, tried to make it at the Olympics, didn't quite get there, and has come back to netball, and she has been picked in the side to play in the Commonwealth Games, and she's signed to the Mystics next year. So she is another defensive option.
Yeah, she certainly is. We haven't seen her for a while. It's quite ironic she's been chosen for this Commonwealth Games team. She actually quit in protest after not being selected back in 2006 for the team that eventually won the gold medal, and she was quoted as saying she'd never play for New Zealand while Ruth Aitken was coaching, but clearly they have mended their bridges and she's back in the side. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing her play. She's a rangy defender, all arms and legs, and well, the shooters certainly know she's in the circle.
A coach and a player have kissed and made up.
Stop it.
Norma Plummer joins us, ironically. Norma, what can you tell us about, you regrouped at half-time, a fantastic second quarter. What was the key message at the main break to the girls?
Just, again, where the gaps were, we needed to be able to penetrate through them and not sit and look at it. So basically we needed to be able to, when the zone went on, not leave that centre court section wide open, and basically we would get it through, and it's, you know, it's just a matter of them having that confidence to let that go, and I think they can do it. They've been able to pull this back. The defensive game is fantastic at the moment.
Norma, I was going to ask you about the defensive game. Moni Gerard's stats don't really appear that strong, but she's doing so much work out the front, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely, and a drive through the midcourt, sensational.
Although I did look at your face when she piffed a ball away earlier, and I thought you might want to throttle her.
Yeah, I might still by the end of the game, who knows?
On that note, Norma, you're scaring us in the commentary box, so we'll leave it. But thanks so much for joining us. Norma Plummer, the coach of the Australian Diamonds, sitting, I was going to say comfortably, but not quite, because the Diamonds just by 3 goals.
Look, this is a funny game, Kel, in terms of momentum. Just when you feel like the Diamonds have got the momentum swing, and Laura Langman doing her best to de-wing Lauren Nurse, pulling her arms down. The umpire's seen it. It's a little trick that gets used occasionally.
Nurse. Oh, it was a footwork call against Medhurst. She doesn't like it, and here go the Silver Ferns. They're away.
That's a hugely, really quick transition. Liana Barrett-Chase just gives them so much speed and finishes off with a cheeky pass. Saw that Laura Geitz's eyes were down and the ball went straight over her head. That won't feature on Laura Geitz's highlight reel. Just saying that just when you feel the Diamonds are just starting to take charge of the game, the Silver Ferns, like the champion team they are, step up and challenge again. And I reckon we're going to see it all game.
So the Diamonds by 2. They get to 3 and they just can't get any further. Looking to pull away. Third quarter, always referred to as the premiership quarter. Hallinan regains her balance. Medhurst. And that call was against Langman. Umberto will accept it. Short pass to Medhurst. Looking to be a little bit too cute, and it doesn't come off. And now, again, here go the Silver Ferns. Langman, Barrett-Chase. Came on after watching the first half from the sidelines.
Well, we saw Liana Barrett-Chase come into the game. In the first match last year between the Silver Ferns and the Diamonds, as Temapara George coughs up the ball for being offside. And she was a match changer. Just that speed was so impressive. She really changed the game for the Silver Ferns, and they came up with a brilliant win. Can she do the same today?
And McMahon's shot rims out. It's back to 3 goals. We're talking about Liana Barrett-Chase. She was actually named the Player of the Year in the ANZ Championships, an award that was voted by the coaches. So she's had a fantastic year, just 25 years of age, playing her 11th Test cap this afternoon. There she is with the ball in her hand, and she's probably in a real struggle fighting for a starting wing attack position, preparing for her first Commonwealth Games.
Well, she did start for the Silver Ferns in their first match against Jamaica, but it was almost like they had too much speed, and it certainly got out of control at times. The centre court that the Silver Ferns started with this time, with Laura Langman in the middle, was the preferred option because Ruth Aitken felt that it gave them a little bit more control. But that's where she's decided to make the change, and it's worked so far.
Gerard, who Norma Plummer has declared on our broadcast she might throttle after the game. Might keep the cameras on Gerard post-match, Liz. Medhurst, it's a loose ball. How will this one be called? It's against Medhurst. De Bruyne, Williams. Now George, Tutayer, Van Dijk, Barrett Chase. Using all the angles on the court. And it results in another goal from Maria Tutayer, 13 from 17.
Well, it's interesting that Tutayer and Van Dijk are really sharing the scoring quite evenly. Van Dijk at 14 from 17. Unusual to see that.
Lovely long pass into Van Dijk. And as you mentioned, they are sharing it. 15 from 18 for Van Dijk.
Look, they are, but I reckon one of the reasons is because the Australian defensive line is doing a great job at shutting down that feed into Van Dijk. So Maria Tutayer has had to step up, take a little bit more of the role.
Now McMahon. She scans and delivers.
Well, when things are tight, Sherelle McMahon is the girl you want the ball in her hands. She's just so cool under pressure.
She is the go-to girl. She'll be preparing herself for a big final quarter. So too will Van Dijk. And scores level.
Please stop rotating the hands, please, after the goal. Ready?
Don't quite know what that was about. One of the players was warned for doing something after the goal. Nat Medhurst, beautiful cut through the top of the circle. It's a signature move for her and does it beautifully. Although pulled for footwork again.
So that goal disallowed. Scores are still level. We've gone nearly 45 minutes here at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. Nothing can separate these two sides.
Well, this is looking to be a classic Trans-Tasman clash, and it will go down to the wire, absolutely no doubt. This is a replay of Natalie Medhurst. Not quite sure what the umpire saw.
Crowd has gone quiet. The Silver Ferns have hit the front for the first time since late in the opening quarter. And now they get to 2 goals ahead as their coach watches on anxiously. Bomberto, Medhurst. Nurse to McMahon. De Bruyne with the long arms. And that's another clutch shot from McMahon. Just get the feeling in these last few moments that the intensity has gone up a few gears as Geitz picks one off. Bomberto forced to go back to Gerard. And now Bomberto. And just flying through the circle.
Well, Bomberto must have seen Sherelle McMahon coming out of the corner of her eye. There were black uniforms everywhere. The ball placed beautifully, not finished off. I was about to say, this is where the Silver Ferns are at now. This is the scoring end. This is where the goals are raining at each quarter. So the Silver Ferns have to make the most of it. They've got 4.5 minutes to do so because the Australians will have this umpire.
So a scoring end, are you suggesting there's a breeze or?
Only through the whistle.
Special comments, Liz Ellis.
There is a scoring end, Kel. I promise you.
Advantage.
It's uphill.
McMahon back to 1.
Just before she got pushing.
Against Geitz for a push. Just under 4 minutes left in this all-important third term. To make it 2 goals, we'll get back to 2. Kate Beveridge, Kath Cox, 2 of the star goal shooters watching on. Will they get a go in the last quarter? Will any coach be brave enough to make some changes?
Well, in that situation, when you're a player, you sort of sit there and you want to be on, but you're also, you sort of dread it, the thought of coming on for 15 minutes to get into a game that's being played with this energy and this pace. Beautiful delivery then from Barrett Chase into Tutayer. Can't finish it.
And a rare miss from Tutayer.
Oh, she will rue that one. She shot beautifully.
So here's a chance for the Australians to get it back level as we approach 3/4 time. Must treasure possession. Medhurst, oh, and they didn't treasure it. It was just a bit of a rush of blood by Medhurst.
This is an arm wrestle. and it's an even one.
To Tayer, Van Dyke, no one under the post. Both shooters well outside the circle. Who will make the move? George into Van Dyke. Turns to the post confidently and scores. The slugfest continues. Gerard, McMahon, Medhurst, ambitious.
There's a beautiful build-up then from the Silver Ferns, and a great pass from Gerard across the court to McMahon. And that's what they work on, trying to open up the zone, and that pass was absolutely perfect.
Both players pausing, waiting for a call. Langman wins out.
You love it sometimes when the umpire said, "No, just wrestle."
I think you would love it, Liz. I'm not sure all the players would like that. Just wrestle. It's a great tactic. I think we need someone sensible to comment. Let's go courtside. Ian, can you please add something intelligent to this conversation?
I'll try my best. Now, we spoke earlier about the crowd being upwards or around about 10,000 people here today. Now, if you were to count New Zealand supporters by flags and colours they're wearing at the very least, you can only count 9, and they're sitting behind the end in which the Australians are going to now.
Alrighty, well, just over a minute left. Medhurst. Oh, every shot counts. She shot at 100% up in the Gold Coast the last time she played for Australia, shooting 17 from 23. McMahon also 17 goals, so they're sharing it under the circle. The call goes against Medhurst. She was keen and eager.
Well, Renee Hallinan looking at the umpire then. Temepara George had stepped in, so Hallinan trying to argue that she was well within her rights to be standing where she was. Interesting, Silver Ferns have just slowed up this approach. They do hold up the tempo very well. It's something that they do well as a team through Temepara George. They go in little bursts, really fast, then hold it up, really fast, then hold it up, and now they get through to the shot.
Tayer doesn't make a mistake. Back out to 2. And it's going to be an Australian ball. There's a breaking call. Must score here.
Must score, but they've got plenty of time, and smart work from Nat Bomberto. Just going back to go forwards. No, she's got lots of time. She's a sort of player who looks like she has a lot of time when she's got the ball in her hand. It's a sign of it. A great ball mover.
To get it back to 1. Silver Ferns with a slight advantage, and there's the umpire's whistle to signal 3/4 time as we...
More in the face, the umpire told it was on the arm, so that's been cleared up. Just in time for there to be some changes in the Australian defensive line.
As George starts the 4th quarter, we'll get to those changes shortly. Scores level at quarter time with the Diamonds by 2 at half time, and it was the Silver Ferns by 1 at 3/4 time. It's been an enthralling battle to date. As we go courtside, Ian, what are the changes?
Well, the Diamonds have made their first changes of the afternoon. Kimberly Green replaces Lauren Nurse at wing attack, while Susan Furman comes on to goalkeeper, and Laura Geitz takes a spot on the bench.
That's interesting, Liz. The game in balance, and they've opted to bring on a few players off the bench, and that is a tough ask. If you've been sitting there for 3/4, it's been fast, it's been frantic, and you've got to come in and, I guess, insert yourself into the contest straight away.
And the hard thing is that when you get the tap that you're coming on, your heart rate goes to about 3,020. But you sort of can't let that get to you. You've actually got to start to breathe and just start to think about your processes. You can't come into a game like this in the last 15 minutes and try and dominate from the start. You've got to work your way into it. Now, time is limited to do that, but it's about just doing the little things well to start with.
15 minutes left to impress Norma Plummer. Medhurst, one of those players. Been pretty impressive, it's got to be said. So a goal each to start the 4th. Barrett Chase. Back to George.
Oh, Barrett Chase just tiptoeing across the top of the circle then. These mid-court players should be able to move across the circle with their eyes closed, and I think she probably just did.
And it's times like these in a game, I guess, where leadership is so crucial. We've seen Temepara George, particularly in the final stages of that 3rd quarter, just so much talk out there, telling all her players to calm down. We've actually got 6 captains out on court from the 10 ANZ teams in the ANZ Championship. So
Yeah, a lot of leaders, and there's been a couple of players in this, well, there's 3 players for the Silver Ferns who have all led the Silver Ferns. With the Diamonds, Cheryl McMahon is the undisputed captain. Nat Bomberto has deputised for those, so they also get plenty of leadership.
So Furman with the big job on Van Dyke. Here's a massive ask and a wonderful start. That is a confidence booster.
A huge play from Susan Furman. She did it often to Van Dyke in the Test Series last year, and she's come on and continued. Repeated rejections have got to get into a shooter's head. She's got to be thinking about that now on the shot.
Debuted at just the age of 19 at the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne. Just test caps to her name. And Ruth Aitken, the New Zealand coach, joining us courtside. Ruth, have you been surprised by a couple of changes that Norma Plummer has made in this final term?
Oh, no, I don't think we're ever surprised. Really, you know, both of us have got a great lot of girls to choose from, and it's really good to be able to have an opportunity to get them out here.
Ruth, it was interesting to see the changes you made at half-time. How have you assessed Liana Barrett's-Chase inclusion into the game?
Yeah, I think she's been doing really well. I just think she sort of freed things up a bit on attack, which was just what we were looking for.
Thanks for your time, Ruth. It's going to be a thriller. We'll let you get back doing your job. 11 minutes left.
A massive turnover then. Nat Bomberto. We talk about her as just being the complete player, and just looking at her stats, she's got 2 intercepts to her name, 10 penalties, just the 1 turnover. And in a game where there's been a high rate of turnover from both teams, for a player who handles the ball so much, she's just outstanding, so efficient.
Here's Kim Green. Brought on at 3/4 time and coughs it up straight away. Could prove costly. Do the Silver Ferns make them pay for a turnover? Using the space, using the angles to Tyer. Van Dyke. And it was off Susan Furman's hands.
Yeah,
so
just interesting watching Van Dyke, just a little shake of the head there. It'd be unusual for her to play against someone who matches her, not only for height, but for size. So she's got tough 15 minutes ahead of her.
Well, Van Dyke 190 centimetres, Susan Furman 196.
Oh, there's a massive call. Irene Van Dyke put it on the court.
Susan Furman. So what a blistering start to this last quarter.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. Van Dyke looks like she's starting to think about what's happening on a shot now. She's had it rejected twice in the afternoon. Got to say, for 2 teams with such great attack lines, it's a low-scoring game. So much pressure on both teams, so much great defensive work from both teams.
Norma Plummer can barely watch, getting vocal on the sidelines. Turnovers, 18 apiece, Liz.
It's high, although both teams have tidied it up since half-time. It was high at half-time, and you sort of never want to cough up more than 20. I think at half-time it was like 15-14. So the handling has improved for both sides.
Now George.
Certainly was. The crowd really getting behind it. I just felt then that Irene Van Dyke had great space on Susan Furman, but just the ball wasn't released. So huge opportunity gone begging for the Silver Ferns.
Silver Ferns led for much of the first quarter. Australia for most of the second. Silver Ferns for most of the third.
They had a great third quarter. They won that quarter, 15 goals to 12. So,
and Australia hits the front for a first time in a long time through Natalie Medhurst. Her 21st goal, and all of a sudden a tactical timeout has been called here. It's Tutayer who has called it. And she's going to get some attention, some medical attention, but it allows the coaches to come out and talk to their players and just try and calm them down. It'll be a frantic final minutes here in Adelaide. Let's go courtside. Ian, what are you seeing?
You talk about tactical timeouts. The crowd was awake to that. They didn't like it, and as soon as it was called, there was plenty of boos from most of the people here who obviously are supporting Australia.
So this is the first of 3 tests. Of course, they head to Wellington Wellington to play Thursday night and then Auckland on Sunday.
It'll be an interesting thing tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We'll find out who the 12 will be for the next 2 tests and also for the Commonwealth Games. So don't forget, Cole, there's a massive subplot to everything that happens here. And every time you say that could prove costly, I know you're referring to the Australians, but in my mind, it refers to the players personally as well. There's a horrific amount of pressure. It was just interesting reading in the New Zealand press during the week that Ruth Aitken questioned putting that amount of pressure on her players, and Norma Plummer, I think quite rightly, has said, well, netball at this level is all about pressure. So no matter where it's from, whether it's internal or external, you've got to be able to cope with it and step up and deal with it. And we're seeing today who can do that. And it's been a really good game, I think, from both teams.
And you think the intensity and the pressure is hot today. Well, tomorrow morning, they're all staying in the same hotel room. As I understand it, the coaching staff calls you in one by one for the yes or no.
Yeah, selections are always such an uncomfortable time.
There is a sleepless night ahead for most of these Australian Diamonds players. Seems we've almost lost that subplot in the interest and intensity of this game. It's been a fantastic duel to watch unfold as Tutaia with her 16th goal.
Well, it's lived up to our expectations. It's not over yet. You know, I thought just before half-time the Silver Ferns were looking tired, so it will be interesting to see what they're looking like at about the 10-minute mark of this quarter with 5 to go. The moment I said they looked tired, Kel, they really stepped up and they actually had inroads into Australia's lead.
Goal for goal, the trend continues. A furious 8 minutes left in this contest.
You just get the feeling that both teams have just pulled it back a little after that timeout. Just almost playing a little bit within themselves, knowing that it's going to erupt at some stage soon.
Well, they've gone to Tutaia on the last few occasions moving forward. She has scored nearly as many goals as Irene van Dijk, which is rare for the Silver Ferns. McMahon in a battle. Going to back herself in from there. It's goal number 19. Aussies back in front. I wonder how many times we'll say that in the next 8 minutes or so, Liz.
Hopefully at the right time. And it's not going to be an easy 7 minutes for either team.
Well, the Diamonds, before that goal, had scored 5 of the last 7, so they had a bit of a mini run and they hit the front. But the New Zealand side will not be denied. And continue to fight and scrap. A cauldron-like atmosphere here in Adelaide. Nearly 10,000 in the Adelaide Entertainment Centre.
Well, everyone's gone quiet, just waiting for this shot.
And McMahon can afford a little joke with Cassie Williams.
Well, they are mates off the court. Just there's not a lot of love lost. And it's just interesting, like I said before, this is a scoring end, so I'm not surprised that the Diamonds have come back into the game after trailing at three-quarter time. Oh, a miss.
A rare miss. And now Gerard's away, and she threw it to no one in particular. It's going to come back, though.
Well, they're the moments, like I said before, that are coach killers. Gerard did a brilliant job picking off a rare miss, as you said, getting the rebound, but that's when she's the senior player down that back line. She's got to steady her feet and put her team into good attacking position. She can't afford to run on.
And it all becomes about decision-making.
Yes.
Exactly.
Holding the goal attack, penalty pass, yes.
That's a soft penalty. Disappointing. You don't want to see the whistle go too much. We've had over 100 penalties in this match.
It drops for Medhurst. And they just edge to a 2-goal lead. A lot of these players out there have played most of the minutes as Kim Green. A massive pass into McMahon, and they're up by 3, and they've got their noses in front.
Well, and Cheryl McMahon should smile. Beautiful play from Green, but McMahon did well to shake De Brain, get her out of the circle.
Oh, Green again. Unlucky. Now the challenge is up for the visitors. Van Dijk, defensive rebound by Furman. She can do no wrong. They're away. Down the centre of the court, it's been pulled back.
Well, Van Dijk was in a beautiful position there and should have slotted that goal. But again, she's starting to think about the shot.
So it's a nail biter as charging through was Williams. Her eyes lit up. She couldn't quite gobble it up. McMahon from long range. The magic touch. It's Australia by 4. 4 minutes left. Umberto, Hallinan, Medhurst again. McMahon left all alone under the post. And the Diamonds have scored 5 in a row.
And with 5 minutes to go in this second half, the Silver Ferns again look tired. They've just come off their defensive game. They have not got the options in attack that they had in that third quarter. And well done to the Diamonds for really making the most of just the opportunities that they're being given.
And again, they've coughed up possession. The visitors are more experienced, Liz, so cool heads, and they need it. Teammates watching on anxiously. Gerard, Green, just over 3 minutes. Green has been terrific. This time, though, not quite. So a chance for the Kiwis to get one here, and they need it. Tutayer.
They're really important.
Double teamed under the post is Van Dyke.
Important that they score here to stay in this game.
Astedia, no. Another chance. Pulsating finish here in Adelaide.
Got to say, Kel, when netball is played like this, you can watch it for days. It's just such a thrilling game.
Play it again when they finish. Try telling the players that. Gee, they're tiring, aren't they?
They are, but I reckon the Australians, they look fit. They look like they're still going hard. They're changing up their leads at different times to the ball. So not always trying to find the same.
De Bruyn intercepts Langman. And now they're away. Hallinan just gets her hands to it. Deflection. Holds it up. Almost going to say, Liz, it's last man standing stuff. Australia leads by 4. Can they make it 3? The visitors, they do.
With the centre pass to come. So
much character.
Here is the Silver Ferns chance. They have not allowed the Diamonds to run all over them in this match.
Well, it's now or never for them because time's against them.
Oh, Tamakara George losing a footing there, unusual.
Contact, wing attack, penalty.
So you would expect that the Diamonds should be able to run it home from here, but they must maintain possession.
Here's Gerard, Medhurst. Happy to go backwards, happy to share it around. Hallinan. It's a call against Temapara George. She's getting frustrated. McMahon, Green. Was against De Bruyn.
Yeah, plenty of push and shove in that circle, and
Just a bit further.
both teams would know that
Thank you.
the whistle will go with the attacking team.
1 minute left, and it's Australia by 4. It makes it really tough now for New Zealand. And Bomberto with the pass. Centre pass looking in. Oh, they've given it away. Now Tutayer goes the long ball. It's picked up by Hallinan. Wonderful stuff. Just willed herself to the contest. Putting her back to the play as well.
Gee, it's good to see with this Diamonds team that whenever they've needed someone to step up, it hasn't consistently been the same person. Different players have stepped up at different times during this game.
They're clinging on, Australia. Medhurst, well, Williams just desperate. Oh, I thought about it, but it rolls in and it's back out to 5. And you would think from here, Australia should be home in front of a very vocal home crowd. Vocal teammates, firm in a game. A tower of strength under the defensive post. And there it is. Australia prevails.